Hello, everybody, and welcome to another conversation in 33 Conversations. I'm your host, Michael Abney, and today we get the extraordinary opportunity of having a conversation with somebody I met a couple weeks ago and just fell in love with instantly. and somebody that's like sharing her story with me and about changing careers and frequency, and was like right up my alley. Sanyu is a storyteller who walked away from corporate labels, industrial ceilings, and systems that could not contain her truth anymore. To build the Labogo Creative, a company rooted in meaning, resonance, and purpose and storytelling. Yay! So, welcome to the show. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be a part of this. And I'm just so grateful that you reached out to me from the moment we connected. I knew that this was something that was meant for me to be a part of. So thank you.
Me too. Me too. I was glad you're at the end of the day, because it's Thursdays is my pod day. It's like the day that I focus and but like when you do 6 or 7, the energy, it's tougher at the end of the day. And I was like, I was juiced all day because I knew that I was going to land here.
Yeah,
Yay!
we made it. We're here.
Even had to change my shirt, so I'm at. Um, I always pop the pods with sort of like a little where are you at right now in your what's transforming? What are you in the middle of? Like since we even talked, I know life changes goes 90 miles an hour. So it's just like an opportunity to kind of like say, hey, today I'm here. Where are you?
Yes. I would say even from the start of this year, I've moved to this place of still having momentum, but also learning how to balance strategic rest. When I started the Labogo Creative back in October of last year, like I was go, 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 like really setting the foundations and like just really kind of like just pushing through this sort of survival mode. And now I'm really learning to balance that with taking a step back, taking care of myself, not feeling like I need to overextend and prove my worth constantly. So it's been this really interesting sort of like not liminal space, but I guess it kind of is of like how do I sort of balance these things as I'm like birthing this new baby and putting it out into the world, but in a way that already is set on me knowing my value and worth and what I'm putting out. And so it's been really cool. It's been an easy breeze, not entirely, but like just learning how to take a step back while moving forward, which is something that people don't really talk about. Uh,
Mm-mm.
so yeah, it's been great.
I could totally relate to that. You get caught up in the, oh, this is happening. It's outside. I'm like, oh, there's this thing that takes over.
Yeah,
And now we have to be in full alignment and full authenticity. And if we're not, just shit doesn't work. And so,
exactly. Yes.
and it takes me a minute sometimes. That's kind of like what I was sharing with you before we started the pod. I woke up in that. It's kind of in the background, but today it was like beep, 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 beep. And I'm like, what is this? And I got a hold of myself. I kind of hate waking up like that when it's like not a panic moment, but just like, damn, I got to move this out of my way.
Yeah.
And what I realized was I'd forgotten some of my rituals and my practices. And I'd sort of, you stepping into your own thing, you're stepping into something outside of yourself and connecting. I'd forgotten to kind of connect with myself and my rituals that I had that I normally do every morning. Instead, I wake up with like, oh God, I got to go change that on the website and I got to do this. And then your whole day is like that. So I promised myself, I drew a line in the sand today. It's like what you were saying. Me first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it doesn't work. I'm not going to be, RuPaul. If you can't love somebody, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? It's the same thing. If you can't connect with yourself, how the hell are you going to connect with anybody else as
Yes.
we embark this whole thing? And, so I had that moment today. I was like, "Ugh, RuPaul's right. Yes, it's everywhere." So tell me a little bit. I know that you've got this amazing thing that you're creating, and you're such a creative entity, but it comes from a background of share your a little bit about your like how you got to this space where the corporate world that you were in and most people would have been like, "Oh my god, you left that?" Like, Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, growing up ever since I was a little girl, I was someone that was always really tapped into creativity. I grew up, playing the clarinet, playing piano. I was singing. I went to a performing arts high school where I specialized in musical theater. And that was something that I had always been really passionate about. But at the same time, I had these family standards, societal pressures to be something more serious. And it was always like, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be in business. And when it came to my decision of where I wanted to go to college and what degree to pursue, I was really trying to decide between whether I would get my bachelor's in musical theater or in something like international business. And that that path is what led me to where I entered my corporate career because I wanted that safety. I wanted those titles. I wanted to work at these big companies that would reinforce my value in the world. And so I took that path studying international business. It wasn't really a true passion of mine. I understand the value of, having a business and things like that. But I always knew I was someone that really wanted to just share stories with the world, share connections and really tap into these different stories that people have and resonate with them on a level that's deeper than surface level. And so when I learned about what marketing really was in college, that's where I felt like something clicked. And I ran with it as I could and moved to New York. I went to school in Florida and I went into the world of marketing. And before I had my first real marketing job, I was kind of catfished. I definitely do love having sales experience, but my first job, I thought I was going to be doing marketing, and it ended up being sales at Yelp. And it was a very, very interesting learning experience because even though it was like a lot of cold calling, I really did enjoy connecting with people, storytelling, getting them to really understand the value of marketing. But I knew that wasn't it for me. So I moved over to Shazam, where I got to reconnect with music, which I was really excited about, but also get to do marketing. So I was like, this is going to be the best. Like, I hit the jackpot and again had a lot of great learning lessons, but I really struggled there because I was someone that came in so authentic. I have a big personality. I'm someone that is very smart and scientific when it comes to marketing, but I'm also that person that brings like the fun, the fashion, the personality in a workplace. Like, I don't like to just go into an office and like be a robot and feel like I have to sit there from 9 to
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm someone that likes to, like, jazz it up, like, gossip with you about Real Housewives, but also get really deep in, like, strategy work and, just put out the best work that I can have. I'm a work hard, play hard type of person, and that was something that I didn't realize intimidated other people. I never really leaned into office politics. Like, I never have, never will, and I just really wanna just put out the best work, and I didn't realize how to navigate those environments, and so I definitely became quite a problem, and, I got to do a bunch of great work, but honestly was, like, laid off. Like, there were just different challenges that I thought I was the problem when in reality actually wasn't. There were things I did need to learn from, but at the end of the day, it was just an environment that didn't really appreciate everything that I brought to the table. And so I moved to Publicis where I spent 3 years and I had another marketing role. It was a little bit more media focused. So I was really grateful to get that sort of education and experience hands-on, but at the same time, it was a little bit more rinse and repeat. I'm such a very, like, hungry, ambitious person. I always wanna, like, learn the next best thing, like, take on the next challenge, and it just really wasn't, like, vibing with me. It was a place you could, like, close your laptop at 5, never, like, look at it again until the next day, and so I started piling on other endeavors, like getting my master's at NYU. I even got a job working at the Palm in New York City as a host because I always wanted to be a host in New York City, and so I was just doing, like, all these different things because I could juggle them, but I wasn't really feeling satisfied at this main role. So after I graduated from my master's, I thankfully had a really understanding VP who let me spread my wings and move over to Spotify, where I spent close to 3 years there. And that was a place where even though it's very established as a brand, it operates like a startup. So almost every 6 months, my role would change, which was something that was really exciting for me. I love, again, taking on new challenges. But when those office politics, even though we were working from home, which was nuts, like it was just getting more and more intense. And something about me, outside of being a creative, like, I'm such a truth teller, I'm someone that really fights for justice, and anytime I see inconsistencies, inefficiencies, I'm that squeaky wheel that's not afraid to call it out, and so, if you're not familiar with, like, the pet to threat pipeline, that is sort of been my story in most places that I've worked at, where I start out as this person that is this player who's always meeting challenges, always taking on tasks, going above and beyond, even, going into different roles outside of my main role, whether that's working with employee resource groups, and, volunteering, all these different things to just really up level a company. Still, that personality, that truth telling, that sense for justice, and just calling out the bullshit ends up making me
Exactly.
and so I ended up being a very big problem there. I got fired, and that was something that really took a toll on me because that was also another dream company that I had, but at the same time, working at a place like that with such high prestige, I took a step back and I realized how easy it is for your own personal identity to be coupled with a company, and how even when I would meet people, it wasn't necessarily about meeting me as Sanyu, like who I am. It was like, this is Sanyu who works at Spotify, you know? And so, or even if it's like I wanted to get a restaurant reservation somewhere, it's like I have to like pull the Spotify card. And so it, it was almost like a blessing because it had me take a step back and reclaim my identity of like, who am I without having this prestigious company name backing me.
Yeah.
And that was really powerful to gain because I know a lot of people that have worked there or still work there that really struggle with that, where, they may not be really happy, but they don't know who they are without that.
It's a huge shift. It's an identity shift, and your identity outgrew each time the spaces that you were in.
Yes, absolutely. And so when I got the opportunity to move over to a creative agency, I moved over to Game 7, phenomenal creative work there. They specialize in experiential marketing, which was something that I hadn't really had much hands-on experience with, but got to do a lot of, as well as working with social strategy for Spotify. So it felt like this sort of like a great medium of things I do know and I can flex some muscles in, but also take on some new skills. So again, super grateful for the things I learned. But at the same time, it was again me bringing this energy that was a little too much for people. Even before I started shaking the table, when I got there, there there were people, above me that just felt threatened. And I don't ever come in trying to take over or challenge or compete. The only person I'm in competition with is myself. But other people do see that. And then the same challenges start coming again. And I notice inefficiencies or injustices, and when I also see other people that I'm working around that are unhappy, like, I feel a responsibility to be the change that we want to see, and again, that just gets me in trouble.
That the craziest dichotomy is that, that's actually an asset to anyone that wants to grow, but they're so committed to the systems and the egoic framework that created it that they can't see that you are offering them a way to expand and grow, but they're just not interested in having it. So, like, the it's just really weird. It's like I'm here to help you, you see, but use my life and vision to help you smooth this out, make this better, whatever you're doing. And they're like, it's a problem. That's the problem is that. Like, so, but at the same time, the universe is so great. It pushed you out of those ecosystems. What was that like when you went to shift out and when you started to think, when did you first have the idea about your company and that vision? Like, how did it come to you?
Yeah, you slowly I started having around 23, wanting to have my own company. That was about a year after being at Game 7, and I noodled with that idea, but I didn't really push it out into fruition like I had in October of last year. But I would say my first I had some really intense, like, Kundalini awakenings, and it happened in May of 2024, and I really started to think about capitalism, work, how we have really blended our work identity with our personal identity to the point where it felt like you couldn't even speak what you were thinking on social media or with your friends or whoever because everything is based on, okay, well, you have a job. And I basically called that out. I blew everything up and I got fired. And it was the most freeing experience that I had. I wasn't upset the way that I was when I was fired from Spotify because I felt like there was something wrong with me. But at that time in 24, I was like, no, like there's something bigger that's wrong, and there's something bigger that needs to
There
change.
is. Yes.
I'm ready to take that leap, and so that was really my start of leaving corporate America and wanting to go ahead and push forward with, my own company, and now there are a lot of things that happened with my Kundalini awakening that kind of stalled certain things that I wanted to put into fruition because there was, to be quite frank, a problem with me waking up. It was, a lot of people do wake up to these things and you can kind of move on with life. And there's certain people in this world where if they wake up, it's a much bigger, much
Yeah.
bigger problem.
Yeah.
I fall in that bucket. And so it was about a year of me figuring out myself, what I really wanted. I did need some financial security, so I ended up at a job for about a few months, and it just wasn't for me. I didn't even last maybe 3 months in that role, because I was done. I knew I was done, and so I walked out of that. I didn't even put a 2 weeks in. I just left my computer at the desk, and I was like, It's time for me to start my own company and not look back and really make the changes that I knew, because there's such a difference between being aware of things and actually executing on them, and so it was like I was aware of a lot of things, but I knew finally in September of last year that the change starts with me and it has to
Yeah.
be done with me actually executing on it. And so really it was October that I started taking those steps of actually building the company. It was already set up from a logistical standpoint, but making the website, getting my creative director on board, building the social presence, starting to reach out and find my own clients, and really define what I wanted to do with my company, which is to help brands share their purpose with the world, whether you're an individual creator or artist to, a small to medium business or a larger company that's looking to rebrand in a way that's more authentic and human connected. Doesn't really matter the industry. It's all about what are you trying to put out in the world that doesn't feed into mindless consumption, deception, getting people divided and riled up. It's something that's really much more rooted in empowerment and evolving humanity in a way that serves us all.
And our shared love of storytelling.
Yes, all through storytelling,
Yes.
all through
Where
storytelling.
when did you first know that storytelling was your superpower?
I want to say it was when I went to performing arts high school, when I really got into theater. I knew I loved singing, I knew I loved dancing, playing instruments, but once I got into theater where I actually got to play these roles and embody them and connect with the audience in a way that just hit them on a deeper level, I knew that storytelling was the way for me. And then with marketing, being the one, for me, when you're acting, you're taking that script, but when you're marketing, you actually get to be the writer of that script.
Great.
And so, yeah.
That's really powerful. And in a lot of ways, that's what we do or can do with our own life. That was something that was made present to me today. And it was said in, somebody could say something and it just hits different. And
Mhm.
it was about if you're not actively doing that, writing your own story of your life, like what you want it to be, fear's got to be right there to fill in the blanks.
Yes.
And so, how have you navigated? Because it's natural to have that when you step into uncertainty of what you're creating. Even though we know we got it inside of us, it's just different whenever you actually do it. How have you navigated that space of, I know you're new and you're reaching out, the fear of that. Is there anything there? And if there is, how do you um, work through that?
Yeah, I think for me, it was less of, I guess you can call it fear at the end of the day, but I did not have the conventional childhood growing up, so by a very young age, I let go of a lot of fear. And again, going to a performing arts school where even though it was high school, we were doing professional theater, professional work. So I was really putting myself out there from a young age. So the fear of being seen was never really an issue for me. The fear of speaking my voice has never been an issue for me. But I think the fear of letting people down and perfectionism was something that I wrestle with a lot because I care so much, I care so deeply, and I want to succeed in helping others that sometimes I may get pulled back in terms of, is this good enough? Is this going to create the impact that I want to land? And so rather than the fear of being seen or putting myself out there, it's like, is this right? And getting in that analysis paralysis sometimes. I don't think it's as often and definitely not as much right now as it has been in the past, is probably the main fear that I've had to like work through and overcome.
Yeah. It still fears. I mean, it's all illusionary things. I mean, I get that. It doesn't stop it from happening, even though we consciously know those things. It doesn't. It's actually sometimes it can work against you because I think you're already conscious and then you become disassociated with when it actually is happening.
Mhm.
I find myself that way too. It's like me before I started connecting with people, like on the podcast and with my pods that I have run, and just people in general. And having that mirror and that feedback, like I started craving it. And it wasn't even like feedback. It was like, no, tell me the truth. Like, tell me what nobody will tell you
Yeah.
because like, I'm not going to get offended. I'm really literally asking because sometimes it feels like you got an octopus on your face and you don't even know that it's there, but something is in the way. So I know when we have spiritual awakenings, a lot of things show up in and out that weave through. And I love talking about that and giving space for it because it's a lot of people brush it off or don't even recognize that it's even there and that it's normal, like literally normal to step out in something that's mission driven, that everything in your closet's going to come out that's not in alignment with that, to going, hey, I need addressed here so that you can move forward and know that that's part of the process. That's why building community around you and getting, you said you already had somebody that was a part of your company now that helps, that's a mirror. Yeah, all of that is part of the, like, how we all evolve out of that. Have you noticed that the more that you step into it, that flow starts to increase and you start to notice how does that impact you as a human being though?
Yeah, I think uh, my creative director, Ebony, she is such a great counterpart. And to your point, like you said, she's such a great mirror, and we counterbalance each other because the things that I need to work on and still am working through, because I'm such a go-getter, like I'm such an ambitious, like bad bitch type of person that's I don't
Yeah.
care, like, like let's move forward, let's go. There's like a gentleness, like there is this like, remember to laugh, remember to let your creativity just like flow, like it doesn't have to always be so rigid, and that's something that I am learning to address in a way that makes me a much softer person. Like soft power is what I'm really learning to have because I am a force to be reckoned with, and that is intimidating, and and I recognize that too now in the past companies that I've worked at, is because am such a bold person. I am so direct. I am so confident that I have to remember that other people aren't always like me, and
Yeah,
so
like clients, like
yeah,
they're on all different types of spaces. It's one
yeah,
thing to have it in your life, like your close friends or the people you circle, the people you surround yourself with. Um, but when you have clients and you're not really sure,
yeah,
you have a really great connection with somebody and then like they ghost you and like, what did there's also calibrating that too. And I always, do you have like when you're talking to somebody, do you have that sense? Are you meeting a new client for the first time? You're starting that relationship. Like, how do you navigate that soft power without losing your authenticity for that's a really subtle dance.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not something we master easily.
yeah.
But like, what's your take on that?
I would say, and this is why, even though I had all these different experiences, my first role at Yelp was so impactful being in sales because we had to make about 80 cold calls a day. So I was used to rejection. I was used to pitching and getting that no. And I think something for me that I have taken not only from that, but also just through my own spiritual awakening is not to take things personally, and also recognizing in myself as I'm creating this business and there are people I want to collaborate with or resources that I'm, thinking of investing in. Sometimes I'm also that person that has to give that no. And that no isn't coming from a place of like, oh, I don't like you, or oh, you're not good enough. It's like there's either just something that I'm not
Hmm.
ready for, or I'm not resourced for, or it's just not the right time. And when
Yes.
remember those 3 buckets, and maybe there's other reasons too, but those tend to be the main 3 for me, I'm able to internalize that and take a step back that it has nothing to do with me. And at the same time, through my spiritual awakening, I've realized having that self-love and knowing that it's not necessarily anything inherently wrong with you, it's just either something that's misaligned or it's something that's being projected onto you, and so that again too just falls back to not taking things personally.
And that's an art in itself.
Mhm.
What is your favorite Real Housewives?
Oh! Wait, okay, do you mean,
Well,
Fran
show first,
Fran
franchise first.
okay, I'm not loving this season, but I love Utah.
Me too. I
I
hated the I can't watch the reunions.
I haven't watched this season's reunion, and I haven't been too impressed with this season of the reunion, but I or this season in general, but I love Utah, and actually, it's so funny, I auditioned to be on New York.
You did?
I was engaged, yeah, I actually in 2025, they interviewed me, and I think it's, like, paused, I don't think they were gonna move forward with me anyways because I skew a little bit younger than what they do, but I was down, like, I was always down to, like, be a part of it. I would say OG Atlanta is definitely a top one. Beverly Hills, I love following as well, but definitely right now it's Utah.
And your favorite character or favorite well, they are
Nene,
characters.
Nene, Nene
Nene?
Leakes hands down. Nene, you can
Okay.
get a meme out of her in any
I love it.
any situation. I have a line that I could pull out for her or a face.
I just wanted to end today kinda light, so that was kinda funny. Yes. I'm Beverly Hills, Kyle Richards. Happy
Oh,
for her,
Richards, oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, I just love her.
She's
She could
fun.
do no yeah. She's crazy, but, like, yeah, that's just what it is. It's not even about what they do or say, it's just like well, I remember her from I remember she was in Witch Mountain, like, the little show when I was a kid, and I'll never forget that, so, yeah, full circles. But tell me, like, what you're excited about with your company and, like, what's next for you? This is just new. It's a new year. And, like, what are you excited about creating or working with? Or have you been visioning a type of a client that you want to work with? Like, what's pulling you forward?
Yes, since this is still just like in its infancy, what's really exciting is that the world is at our oyster. So we've been having conversations with a lot of potential clients. We have some in the pipeline. What's been so exciting is to just meet people who align with us on a frequency level, energetic level, and getting to learn what they really want to share with the world in all different types of capacities. So, we're speaking with someone who's a creator who really wants to rebrand themselves, not necessarily in a much more serious way, but more intentional and build legacy and community and also thinking about certain clients that have different initiatives that are really important to us. So there's a client who is really into not only cannabis, but also tackling human trafficking, which is something that I'm someone that is very, very passionate about combating and spreading awareness on. And so just getting to learn all of these different missions that people have and the different avenues that it can open up even from just one client is really exciting. Also getting to not necessarily from a client perspective, but also getting to find our voice where, a lot of places when you work at a company, you can't really share your opinions anymore you see going on in the world. And so being able to have a space where we're allowed to speak out loud about how we feel about things that are going on with, let's say, ICE or, how we feel about women's rights in the world. There's no right or wrong way that we can express what we truly feel when it comes from a place of love, truth, and justice.
That's
We're
freedom.
not holding ourselves back and getting to know, like, if a client or a prospective client is not aligned with us based on how we decide to speak our truth, then that's just not the client for us. It's not a reflection
Yeah.
of anyone or that we're not worthy. It's just like the right people will come and there's just such great joy in knowing that, you know, someone we someone we spoke with today who not necessarily from a client perspective but wants to collaborate with us, they the they loved the stuff that we're posting about in terms of how what we think about ice, and the fact that that did not detract from how professional we look, or, are we capable of being able to be intellectual while still holding emotion? Like, that just goes out the window, and so, not only from a client perspective, but how we expand our network and
Yeah.
collaborators is just so exciting and refreshing. Even meeting you and having this conversation and talking about how we could even collaborate is just it just fills my cup. So it's
Yeah. Well, you inspire me. I like really, um, I'll share with you after we get off the podcast, but you really inspired me to like relook at what I was doing and my brand. Because I meet people and I just know instinctively that they're part of my future, or like somebody that, like what you said, I would like to do business with you because you have such an amazing energy and it can only add to both of our worlds. And, so many people with, when I get them, people invite them to the pod and we meet and they're in a stage where you're at, which is an amazing stage, probably one of those scariest stage actually. And you're handling it the way you're handling it and willing to talk about this phase, because most people think, oh, I've got to have all this figured out and I've got to have all this figured out before I would be any value.
no,
Maybe I get 10 of those emails a week, and I get it. But at the same time, this is very, very powerful to like hear your story about how you worked at all these top line companies and that people would have, killed to be there. And yet you were like, yeah, and next, like, because there was something else happening that was beyond that thing. So it wasn't egoic for you. It was
no,
energy and spirituality, and you being in alignment with who you authentically are and being able to express that in the world. And I believe that that's actually where all of us are going. Is like, damn, I just want to be paid for what I love to do, like that, and be around people that are exciting and like keep everything fresh and we support each other. It's like a community. Well, it's
exactly.
not like it. It is a community that I am so passionate about connecting. So thank you for being a part of this community. Now you're a pod alumni, alumni, and yay! I just really appreciate it, and I look forward to our continued relationship.
Same.
And yeah, so it's not just people coming on the pod. It's actually is a community, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to not only be a part of this conversation, but to join the pod. It's 33 strangers, right? I've been thinking, like, I like lay in my little.
Wait till you see it now. Like you literally, you haven't seen it in the last couple of days, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, girl. Ooh,
I'm
shifted
excited.
so much because I realized that um what I really I have some of this really powerful mirror in my life, and she's like, Michael, what about this that you don't love? I said, oh, you know what I really just want to do? I just want to do this one thing. And she's like, cut the rest of it out. Cut the rest of it out.
Yeah.
And it was like, but my worth and the value, and I put all of this on top of it, and she's like, no, that's what's preventing people from doing it. Nobody can commit for 90 days. Like, get, yeah. So it's now just the third weekend of every month, and it's 2 days, and it's extraordinary. And that's all that it is, because that's what the thing that I'm trying to do is to create those deeper, meaningful relationships that we instantly had, sharing that with other peer-to-peer folks that get us, and facilitating that weekend with
Yeah.
different little breakouts. And then, but for me, when I visualize now, it's not even the pods being filled, it's the us all being in like some amazing resort somewhere in a year where all of the pods get to meet each other, like that. Ah! And then having the people that are in the pods actually participate, because they all have, everybody has this exquisite facet of the piece of the pie, piece of the puzzle that just makes everything better. And everybody wants to share. That's the whole thing. This thing that I bring to the table is just the facilitation of those spaces. And that comes from a love that I have had for 30 years about leading seminars and leading, seeing this connection that happens when somebody has a breakthrough or an aha over here, and somebody over here has one, and they're not related, but they one would have not happened had the other one not said what they said. And
Right.
it's present in my life all of the time, even when I wake up and having in a shitty mood and like I've got to do pods all day. And then I realize that and I'm like, wait a minute, the universe has probably got this already worked out from stem to stern. All I gotta do is just show up.
Yes.
And that's what you did. And thank you for showing up for me today. I appreciate it. And
Thank
everybody that's listening. Mm. And that amazing jacket that you have on is it's awesome.
Because I love
You
the
guys
accent.
you guys listening to us, like, seriously, get in alignment with who you are, have conversations, cold call, it's crazy, get rejected. Yes, all of that because it's one step closer to you living in your truth and being authentic about it. And it's all in the conversations that we have. You go out and have an amazing conversation with somebody that you've never met before and change the trajectory. We're going to see you on the next conversation. Bye, guys.